Hello everyone. We are continuing work on the skate guitar. Keep showing you what the final product is basically going to look like. I mean, something like that anyway. Actually, not the skate guitar, two skate guitars. And so today we'll see how far we get, but I'm going to be doing some more shaping on the body. I said I was going to do that off camera in the last video. I'm going to go ahead and do it, record that. Got to shape it to the body, got to get it attached to the body temporarily. Maybe we'll cut the horn shapes for the actual skate decks. And we got to get the paint off the back and the other places where the paint is. And so maybe we'll do some of that. And I would like to, we'll see if we'll get this far, I would like to get to the point where the bodies are fitted to the skate deck. The skate deck is shaped the way that we want it and everything's clean and ready to go. And then maybe later we can route and do our holes and start getting things prepped for hardware and assembly. So that'll be the plan for the day. If you can hang with me, I'm John. This is Garage Guitars. Okay, here's what we got. Here's the body that we cut down. Cut the wings off the side, shaved the top down by the thickness of the skateboard deck. We've got the skateboard deck, and I got all the adhesive cleaned off. That was a whole lot of fun. But got the adhesive cleaned off and just trimmed roughly to length. We'll get that all shaped like we want it later, but that's just to get it in the ballpark. So we got that one. And then, of course, we've got Bob and that piece for Bob. So we are gonna, what I'm gonna do first is get the roundedness that this needs. It's a little tricky because it's not necessarily consistent all the way down the guitar. I'm going to place this, I'm going to put tape down on the deck so that I can mark things and do all that. But I'm going to want it just past where the holes for the trucks are because I like to reuse those. But I want it short of the bridge. So I want those trucks kind of right in here. And then I can route out a control cavity that everything can go into there in the end. So yeah, I don't know, it doesn't need much more explaining than that. I mentioned this in the last video, but we'll use our handy dandy radius gauge thing and then transfer that over there. So I'm just going to get at it. We'll fast forward some of this. Maybe I'll stop if I feel like something needs to be explained, but otherwise, let's plow into it. That was a weird thing to say. Let's jump into it. I guess I'll share a little trick here quickly. Trying to find the center line of something and you're not sure the exact measurement. Set up your combination square. If you don't have one of these, great tool. I've got this one and then I've got a little one too, which is awesome. And well, I guess that's not technically a combination square, but anyway, run it down both sides from either side, and then you end up with, you see this from the top, I guess, two lines, and you know right down the middle of those two lines is going to be your center. So that's a little trick. Let's do the other one. Okay, so got that all laid out. And one thing I did, let me see this from the top, is in position, I made a little tick mark on the skateboard and on the body because the curve is consistent. The curve is consistent down the body, or fairly consistent, up until that point. And then it kind of changes with the slope, but I'm just going to have to, so I can use the radius gauge here, and then here I'll have to go a little bit at a time, either using the radius gauge or just kind of eyeballing it. Yeah, because it kind of gets flat for a second, and then there's a little flare up right here at the end. So gonna have to work on that. That's what we'll do next. I'm gonna use this handy tool, which I mentioned in the last video. This is a Shinto rasp. And we're gonna use this and see how we do. All right. Let me just be clear. Normally I would put this in my vise and do it for those of you that are watching this and going, what are you doing? I don't want to move the camera. That's really it. And so, yeah, it's a little harder than it needs to be, but I'm doing it for you, okay? The hair out of the way. All right, first kind of test fit. See how it goes. Yeah. Okay. My radius looks really nice. So the only thing holding me up now is I need to shave back the a little bit of an angle back here on the tail, and then I just need to, I've got some sharp, if you can see that above, kind of shoulders right there that I just need to blend in to whatever's happening there. That, at least that looks like. I need to kind of taper this off. This is pretty flat right through here, I think. Let me kind of mark that visually. Okay, I think it's flat, starting about a ½ inch back from the tail. About there. And then I'll just blend it in. And then we'll see how that goes. I think what I'm seeing is that I'm still just a little bit, I need to angle this over a little bit, just like curve it over a little more. I think we're hitting right here on these edges. Just needs more angle to it. Let's try and give it that. Okay, that took a little bit. It always does. Trying to fit it to an abnormal shape there. So we brush this off. All right, I feel like that is close enough. It's stable. It doesn't rock at all. It just kind of sits in there real nice. So that's good. Now what I want to do is I'm going to take, and I want to look down in the neck pocket and make sure there's a nice seal there. And there is. That's probably the most important spot. So let's see. I guess we will. I'm gonna. Sorry to be thinking in front of the camera. Just trying to decide exactly what I'm gonna do next. I guess the next thing is just to mark out the horns on this. We've got this shaped like we want it. I'm just gonna roughly sort of draw out. I've got my starter lines. And I'm just gonna draw a shape that I like here. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just want it to kind of follow the contour of what was already there that we marked. Yeah. Come straight up. So what we'll do in a minute, we'll go to the bandsaw, and I'll go to the bandsaw. I probably won't record that because it's kind of behind where the cameras are, but I'm just going to cut out those corners, and then that'll be the next step on that one. It's getting hot out here, but I'm going to take this one and do the shaping on it, and then and I'll do the same thing here. And then I guess we'll cut out the skateboard deck, and then we'll take these and get them cleaned up the way that we want to. Let's speed it up. I wish I could go in high speed, but I can't. Here we go. Okay, second one's done. It's in there. It's secure. Feels good. Fit is as good as we need it to be. And man, these are coming along great. So I'm going to draw out my shape again on this board for the horns and take them over to the bandsaw to get them pre-cut. And then, then I'll come back and decide what in the world we're going to do next. Actually, you know what? I decided I'm going to save that for the next video. I'm not going to touch these yet. The only thing I'm going to do today, we'll get to those later, and I'll get the bandsaw set up where I can shoot it and you can see that happening too, because I don't want to just skip out on stuff in the process. So what I'm going to do here is we got to get the paint off, and then I want to take and just round these corners off to give it more something that kind of matches the skateboard. And so what I'm going to do is grab a heat gun, and we're going to take this off by heating it up and peeling it. Believe it or not, this poly stuff or whatever it is they put on here, I guess it's poly, comes right off when you heat it up, and then just gonna. So we'll take it off, and then we'll get out the oscillating spindle sander, which is one of the best things I've ever bought, and we will just go through and kind of clean up all of our edges and make sure everything is down to bare wood here, and everything's shaped like we want, so that the body's going to be just about ready to go. So that's what we'll do next. I'll get out the heat gun and start peeling off the paint. We're going to need this later. Harbor Freight heat gun. It blows hot air. It works. You know, there are some things I buy at Harbor Freight, some things I don't. Stuff like this seems to work pretty well. So, reach. All right, I think we have what we need. So, by the way, before I do this, you may have noticed my fancy workbench top and wondered what in the world is that, or you probably already figured out. But from the top, see, I've just got a regular workbench under there, big, huge kind of island here in the middle of my garage, and that is like a $3 Harbor Freight moving blanket. It works great. And if I mess it up, spill something on it, ruin it, cut it, whatever, I just don't care. So it works out great for these purposes. And I can pick them up. Thankfully, I got a Harbor Freight in town. So, all right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to start heating this up. And as I do, you're going to see this kind of start to liquefy a little bit. I don't want to go too aggressive. You know, these bodies are made of connected pieces, and so you don't want to go too bad on it. But this should be able to take the majority of it off. And then we'll get the rest of it with a sander. You see this? Sorry, I turned that off. It's like magic, and it is one of the most satisfying things. It doesn't get all the way down to the raw wood. We'll get there with a sander, but you know, you don't really trying to sand this poly and the paint off and everything. What a pain. But this is kind of fun. So here we go. Oh, and one other thing I guess I'll add is I'm using a metal putty knife, and by doing that, it's heating up, and that helps. So the hot knife through butter, basically. It's warm now, but it's much cleaner than it was. So the horns and everything, the ends, you may have seen, I tried to get them, but there's just no way to hold it well and do that. So we'll hit those with the sander. That's not a problem. And now we got to take off the purple. Let's do it. Unfortunately, this one isn't peeling quite as smoothly as the first one, but that's okay. still getting the majority of it off, and it's going to make it a whole lot easier when we get to the sander. It's tedious work. I don't want to do that anymore. I got most of it off. So we're going to let the sander do the rest of the work here. It's got a pretty thick, these guitars all have a very thick layer of sealer on them, you know, to get the bodies flat. They don't have to do as much prep work, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, we're going to take this. I'm going outside where it's a little cooler right now, and I'm going to use a mixture of this, which is my Wen oscillating spindle sander. I love this thing. It's got the flat, you know, what do you call this, belt sander attachment on it, and then it also has spindles that you can attach. And those are like, before I got this thing, or after I got this thing, I guess I should say, and I started sanding inside the horns of guitar bodies, I was like, where has this been my entire life? You know, those tools you get that you're like, how did I even operate before I had this thing? But anyway, we're going to do the rest of this with this, and I'll use the good old-fashioned palm orbital sander. And we'll get the bodies all cleaned up to the shape we want, and yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do it right now. But that's going to be it for this video. When you come back, you won't see me do that. When you come back, these will be done and ready to go. We'll work on the skate decks next and get them all routed and all that kind of stuff. And we're getting closer and closer to finishing up our skate guitars. And so until next time, I'm John, and this is Garage Guitars.